I recognize the Leader of the Official Opposition.
Nova Scotia Power hasn't been fixed, Madam Speaker. Power bills have risen by $400 for the average family since this government was elected. Thousands of Nova Scotians have had their personal information stolen. They don't have the capacity to request a free credit freeze or to sue Nova Scotia Power for damages. Last weekend, my colleagues and I were knocking on doorsteps, and we heard from hundreds of Nova Scotians who are deeply frustrated that Nova Scotia Power is not being held accountable. After one of the province's largest data breaches, why won't this Premier give Nova Scotians the protections they need?
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Service, Nova Scotia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and this gives me the opportunity to be able to speak in my capacity of the Minister of Cybersecurity and Digital Solutions, Madam Speaker. And I just want to make sure that folks know that I am the second minister because there was one before me, but this is the first time a designated department is looking at cyber threats there, Madam Speaker. First time ever. So to be able to say to Nova Scotians that we are looking at every possible way to make sure that their information online is protected, we are, Madam Speaker. We made sure to go out and speak to credit lenders and Nova Scotians because we know the impacts of that cyber breach, Madam Speaker. We want to make sure that Nova Scotians have the tools that they need, but Madam Speaker, we also have to make sure that we're engaging in a national conversation around cyber threats so that we can protect Nova Scotians the best way that we can.
I recognize the Honourable Leader for the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This department predated this breach, and it didn't protect Nova Scotians. So let's recap. What we hear from experts and on the doorsteps is that people want a utility that works for Nova Scotians. They want to look at the structure of Nova Scotia Power. They want a low-income power rate so they know everyone can keep the lights on, an arrears management program so they're not in debt to NSP for the rest of their lives, expanded efficiency supports, and they want bills they can actually afford to pay. And so my question to the Premier, Madam Speaker, is why won't this government listen to Nova Scotians, protect them from identity theft, and lower their power bills?
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Cybersecurity and Digital Solutions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I think it's really important that we acknowledge that no one is immune to cyber threats, Madam Speaker. So yes, the government has seen a threat under the movement and then also Nova Scotia Power being the most recent breach, but no one is immune. But in the department, Madam Speaker, there are designated personnel who are making sure that Nova Scotians' information is protected in the best possible way, Madam Speaker. We have to make sure that we're engaging with our provincial and territorial colleagues and our federal colleagues on what a national defense around cybersecurity can look like, Madam Speaker, because we know as threat actors continue, we have to make sure that our defense is ready. So, Madam Speaker, that is what the team is doing over at Cybersecurity and Digital Solutions, is we're making sure that we have the tools for Nova Scotians to make sure that their information is protected.